Hey guys, in this video, I'm going to show you how to use SketchUp and V-Ray to create this island that I found on Instagram. This inspired me to create this virtually because it's beautiful, and sometimes working backwards in the process helps you learn better than if you were to start at the very beginning. So this is a segment I'm calling Real to Rendered, and we're going to go through the process to take a picture of a physical product and create that virtually using SketchUp and V-Ray. So if you guys are ready, let's go ahead and dive in. All right, this is the Instagram post that I saved, and you can scroll through the pictures here. There's 3 images of this island, so not a whole lot, but this should give us plenty of what we need. Now, I do want to note this design is not mine. I don't take credit for this. This is simply, I can see the designers down there and the architects in that snippet there, but it's their design. I'm just taking this off Instagram and using this as inspiration to create this virtually. All right, let's jump into SketchUp. All right, so we start here with a basic SketchUp file. And what I'm going to do is create a kind of a spare file where I'm going to import this image as an image, not a texture. That's very important. And we're going to set the scale for this. The scale that I'm using is 34.5 inches from the floor to the countertop at the very start of that. So I'm going to use my scale tool here and rescale this image. So now I'm going to zoom in, and now I can use my tape measure tool to find helpful measurements. So this post I can see it's going to be about 3 inches, and I can measure the feet height, the measurements from the floor up to where the island starts there, and just kind of go around and get measurements that I feel would be handy once I start to render. So the countertop is going to be 3/4 of an inch. So scale tool, very helpful for this. And I'm going to keep this file open just in case I need to come back to it. I'm going to open up a new SketchUp instance and just do a plan view. And now I can start modeling this island. So I believe just from the looks of it that this is a 4x8. Given the angle of the image, I couldn't really measure the actual length of it, but I can kind of eyeball it. And usually 4x8 is a pretty standard island size. So I create my rectangle there. I'm going to rename that to island to group it and bring it up to 34.5 inches. So from here, I'm going to build out the legs. I know the legs are 3 inches, and I'm going to go all around on all 4 sides and use the move tool to move that line 3 inches around, and those will form the legs of this island. Notice that it's snapping to 3 inches. That's the beauty of SketchUp, is that it can infer where your measurements will be. So now I'm pushing out the bottom section of the island 9 inches from the floor. So using my push-pull tool, erasing some lines and faces there. And this will create the legs of the island. All right, so now I'm going to go ahead and save this. It's very important that you save a SketchUp model as often as you can. So now that that's saved, I'm going to go in here and find some other measurements, see how far the face of the island is from the legs, and then use the push-pull tool to adjust this model accordingly. So we'll do all 4 sides of the island. There we go. Now we're going to work on the sides a bit. So we're going to use the offset tool, bring in the rectangle there. At the top, we have a 4-inch section. So we brought that down 1 inch. The rest of it's going to be 3 inches. Now what I'm doing here is I'm cleaning up some geometry here. When I use the push-pull tool, it brought over some lines. So I'm just going around and cleaning up that geometry. I'm going to do the same thing on this side of the island, using the offset tool and the push-pull tool there. Nice, okay. So now we're going to go back here to our reference SketchUp file and just kind of look and get a feel for those front drawers. There's 5 drawers across, 2 rows of them. On the back here, we've got, looks like 3 panels by the chairs. So we're going to use the eyeball method there because it's not a really great picture. It doesn't show the whole thing, but we're going to use our best judgment and figure out that it's going to be about a 2-inch rail at the top. And then usually this is about 12 inches. We're just guesstimating here for the chair spacing. So we're going to bring that in 12 inches. And now we have room for our chairs, and we can work to create the panels, the 3 panels down there where the chairs are. So I want to get these panels consistent and centered accordingly. So I'm using the offset tool here to bring that in. And then, so that's 3 inches on the sides there. And to make these even, I'm going to make a line that's half of that distance. So 1.5 inches on each side. And I need that line consistent. So I'm using my trick here where I do a perpendicular line, erase it, and then the 2 line segments are joined together. That's a little SketchUp hack. So now that I have that, I can use the divide tool by right-clicking it, divide it into 3 sections, and then use my line tool to bring that up. So that's the center of the panels there. I'm going to bring that line out on each side an 1.5 inches so that I have a 3-inch section there. And then the 3 panels will be inset to about 1/2 inch. And there we go. Clean up some geometry here. Again, that line won't really matter because it's the same plane, but just in our SketchUp eyes, it looks better if you have that there. So, okay, the front. So we've got 5 drawers on each row, 2 rows. So I'm going to eyeball that. It's probably, let's see, the distance between those drawers and the side rails, probably 1.5 inches. That's what it's looking like. So I'm going to use the offset tool back on my face, right there. So we're going to just do one more look here. Sometimes it's good to go back to the actual pictures and see. And then I can also use my measurement tool in my sample file here and just kind of look. And yeah, it does look like it's a 1.5 inches. So we'll go with that. 1.5 inch side rails there. Use the offset tool, 1.5 inches. And then we're going to use the same trick that we did before to figure out the widths of the drawers. So right now I'm making that center rail to separate the 2 rows. So now I'm going to draw a line. So the sides are 1.5 inches, so half of that is going to be 3/4 of an inch. So I'll draw a little line there. Draw the other line that goes all the way across. Whoops, forgot to click down on the button there. Let me go back and grab that. There we go. And then again, another 3/4 of an inch, and then use that SketchUp hack. So you draw a perpendicular line, erase that new line, and it fuses the other 2 lines together. So I'm going to use my divide tool, right-clicking on that. I need 5 drawers. There we go. Line tool, I'm going to draw up. Create those center lines. And from there, I need to move those 3/4 of an inch to the left and another set 3/4 of an inch to the right. So I can select those and move them all in one group. It's a little time saver. And then erase the geometry I don't need. And you can see everything is looking really good. Consistent spacing all the way across. All right, now to save time, I'm going to make my drawer fronts first a group and then a component. So that way I can later on use the move and copy tool and just copy that guy over. So any changes I make to one of them is made to all of them. That's the power of components in SketchUp. So make that a component. And then just use the move and copy to bring those all over. Since the distance between those was consistent, I could use the little trick of doing an X4, which would make 4 different copies across. And I can just copy the top row into the bottom row. Now I'm going to push-pull these drawer fronts out 3/4 of an inch to simulate the actual thickness of the wood. And then I'm going to bring in each side 1/8 of an inch for my spacing. There we go. And again, I'm working on one of them and it's affecting all of them because it's a component. Offset tool, make my panels here, bring that in. Probably not a half inch. I'm going to do a quarter of an inch on these guys. There we go. All right, so that's looking really good so far. Looking back at my sample model, now I'm going to bring in some hardware. So I'm using my component finder extension, and this is something I cover in my course, Focus SketchUp for Interior Design and Kitchen and Baths. I'm using my component finder libraries here. I've got hardware. I'm just going to select. That one looks pretty similar to what the original was. But I'm going to cancel that. I'm going to go into my component and then add it here so that's duplicated 10 times. So I'm going to go with actually the rounder version. And then I'm going to move that into position using the move, rotate, and then locking it in the appropriate axis and centering on my drawer front. There we go. So that's looking really good. All right, now let's focus on these side panels. So if you look at the original version, you can see there's some fluting going on. So we'll deal with that in a second. I'm actually going to work on the feet here. So the feet, 3 inches, it looks like some metal paneling. So I'm going to move this up using my offset tool and push-pull to create that dimension. There we go. Do this on all 4 of these legs. Now, if you wanted to get fancy, you could probably do something where you have these legs as components. So that way, if you modify one, you modify all 4, but we're not getting that fancy for this demo. All right, let's build the countertop. We're just doing a rectangle on top, group that, rename it to countertop. We're gonna push-pull it up 3/4 of an inch. And we're gonna pull that out. I think the overhang is gonna be about a half an inch. So we'll just make that 3/4 of an inch. And then do that on all 4 sides. There you go. Countertop's in. That's looking really good. Now let's tackle that panel. So we got some fluting. There's, of course, as in a lot of things with SketchUp, you can do it probably 10 different ways. But for this one, I'm going to keep it simple. I'm going to make this a group and then a component. And then I'm going to create probably a 1/4 inch spacing there. 1/4 or half inch, depends on how thick you want these. I'm going to use my arc tool, change the number of points there to 24, so it's a little smoother circle. And I'm going to group that, make that a component, and then use the push-pull tool to pull that all the way to the top. And you can use Control H there to kind of hide the rest of the model, so that way when you're working on things, it's easier. I'm going to move that right next to it and then use that trick with SketchUp where you can type in X and then the number of times you want that duplicated. And for this, it's just kind of a trial and error to figure out the right number of times. So just keep typing in X and then a number, and then it will update accordingly. So there you go. 144 was the magic number. And now I've got that fluting on my panel. So I'm going to bring that over to the other side, rotate it around, and place that right in there. Perfect. Looking really good. And here it is. This is a little animation I created with some scenes and just a little 360 view of the island. All right, so for the materials, again, this is covered a lot in my Focused V-Ray for SketchUp course. We want to use high quality materials. I'm using some paint materials that I have that come with my courses. And we're going to bring these in and name these accordingly. So this one is paint for the island. And then we can just apply it to all the faces there. That's easy. It also tackled our drawer fronts, which is awesome. All right, the metal for the feet, I've got this nice one here. I'm going to bring that in. And then just use your paint bucket tool and apply that to all 4 sides of each foot. There we go. Got that guy and this one over here. Okay. Now for the countertop, I'm going to zoom in there and make sure the flute's got it. And that is covered in paint, so that's good. The countertop, I'm just going to go with one of these ones I have here. This Marble looks nice. I'll apply that and then adjust the scale accordingly. You can do that here in the SketchUp menu and then just type in a value, trial and error, and find one you like. That looks good. We'll keep it there. And there we go. Now we have materials applied to all of our faces there. And if you want to go ahead and render, just to give an idea of what it'll look like, you can change your settings here, your shutter speed and environment. I'm going to make this a white color. And of course, also turn off the sunlight. So you can see here it's blasted with light here, which we don't want. So going to the lighting tab, click off that sunlight, set it to 0. And then go back here and adjust this white value to something that is manageable. That's looking better. Now the paint color I chose, I need to choose a better copy that closely matches the example. So I'm going to go and do that now. So this one's a little bit lighter. If you look at the picture, the original picture is more of a darker green. Yeah, it looks like it has a little bit of yellow in there as well. So we're going to use our Snag It tool here. I can do a screen capture and kind of get a rough starting point for that color of green. Using the eyedropper tool, I can do a sample color value here and just gives me something rough that I can start with and I can tweak it accordingly. So you can type that value, change this drop down, and type in those values, and there we go. So that's a good starting point, and you can play around with that to get the color that closely matches the original. Okay. And I might just tweak this a little bit more. There, somewhere right around there. Let's see what that looks like. Okay. And the interactive rendering is helpful in the stage 2, so you can see. All right, turn that off. There we go. All right, so as you can see here, I dropped this into a kitchen file I had from a previous project, and you can see it looks really awesome. Looks very close to the original, so I'm very happy with how this came out, and I hope you guys enjoyed that entire process. All right, guys, that's it. This process showed you how you can go from real to rendered. We just took a couple pictures from Instagram, and we used that to create a virtual copy or replica of that physical product in SketchUp and V-Ray. So I hope you guys learned a lot in this video. If you're interested in more of my courses about SketchUp and V-Ray, check the description below. I'll put some links there for that. And if you found value in this video, please give it a like. That helps more than you know. All right, guys, I'll see you in the next video.